All right, welcome to episode 23 of the Malapert Smart Wrestling Podcast. I have two distinguished guests with me today. Robert is here, Roberto, as
So,
he goes by on the social medias. Thanks for being here. Man, my friends have really been coming through for me lately to help me out with this podcast. It's been great, man. I had Brian on last week. It was a good show, and we got Robert on this week. So I'm excited. And of course, we got Vlad, the wrestling expert. Say hello, Vlad.
Hello, everyone. Obviously, I've been on every show. I want that on record. I want that in my tombstone.
he's been on every show of the
He's been on-
Network.
That's
Exactly.
true. He's been on all 23 episodes, 23 for 23, tied with me. So,
Yes.
good job.
Yes.
All right.
Tied with the host of the show, yes.
Well, listen, it's been a tough week. All kinds of horrible garbage things going on in my life and in the world of wrestling, too. Bray Wyatt died, so I hate having to do something like this. So weird. It's the first time I've had to do this on this show to talk about a death and pay tribute, I guess, since we're in the industry now, we're in the business. We can't just go along and do a show without saying something about this. Obviously, it's really horrible. I'm 35 right now, and he was 36. So that's extremely, extremely young, out of nowhere. And I mean, I thought he was a cool character. I mean, I know in the wrestling scene he got some criticism for being too supernatural, I guess was the criticism, and it didn't really fit in. But, so was The Undertaker. The Undertaker was throwing lightning bolts from the ceiling and, starting spontaneous fires and stuff. So, you can't really say that, I think. But otherwise, what do you think, Vlad? Were you more into the Wyatt family, Bray Wyatt, or the Fiend? Were you a Fiend guy or a Wyatt family guy?
I have to say, because I watched more of it, because when he became the Fiend, I wasn't really watching. So the Wyatt family is more memorable to me, as far as like a group that he had, with Eric Rowan and of course, so many people dying, it's just crazy. 2/3 of the Wyatt family have already died. You guys can hear me, right? I'm sorry. I don't know if you guys are hearing me. Okay.
Oh, yeah. You sound good.
Okay, great. I just wasn't sure. Anyways, yeah. So, I mean, of course, I'm more of a Wyatt family because I've seen more of that, more than I've seen him be the Fiend. And that's when I really wasn't watching a lot of wrestling, I only started watching like mid 2019 on again. And I don't know when he was doing that Fiend stuff, but it wasn't something that I saw live.
You saw some of the Fiend during the pandemic though, didn't you? He was when they were doing those empty stadium shows, and then he was doing
not really.
Firefly Funhouse.
I wasn't until recently watching a lot of WWE either. I just was initially just watching only AEW, and then I just figured let's just watch both. But it took me a while to get to that point where I figured it's like a full-time. It's like taking maybe like a part-time job, like watching that much wrestling, So I just wanted to stick to AEW for a while, but then I figured I'm already in this wrestling thing. Let's just go into it, the whole thing. But so I missed a lot of. The Bray Wyatt.
But WWE started picking up too. Like they started getting better with the Bloodline storyline, Roman Reigns. So it was worth watching again after the pandemic.
Right.
So I think, but yeah, there was only some recently. But no, he didn't come back as the Fiend. He just came back as Bray Wyatt. So well, let me hear some from Robert. Robert, what about you? Do you have a favorite Bray Wyatt character?
I mean, I did like the Fiend, but I like the Wyatt family, his persona with the Wyatt family a little bit better. I thought that was more memorable for me. I still remember his feud with John Cena, and he had kids singing "He's Got the Whole World in His Hands." Remember that?
That was really good. That was good.
Really
what I was
good.
going to mention as one of my favorites.
Yeah, it was. It actually tripped John Cena out. He was like, Oh my God, he has control of these kids. What am I gonna do? Um, yeah, I mean, I was like genuinely really sad about his passing because I think he's very talented. He has a lot of natural charisma, which I can't say that at least to the same extent that I could say about him. I can't really say that about most other wrestlers in either WWE or AEW. So it's really sad that he passed. And the fact that I'm older than him by like 3 years, I didn't even know he was 36 until I found out, about his death that he was 36 years old. Like, man, he had so much more to give. So yeah, it sucks.
Yeah, definitely. Well, do you have any fond Bray Wyatt memories yourself, Vlad? Which one was your favorite?
I don't know about a favorite. I wasn't like a big follower of his career, but I will say what I appreciated about him is that he had a certain cadence, the way he spoke. It really came through in his promos that was captivating, despite not always making sense, or at least not making sense to me, right? But it just kept you invested, kept you interested. He just had a way of talking, a way of the delivery, just made you interested in whatever was going on in Bray Wyatt's world. So he was a captivating, like to Robert's point, he was a really captivating, charismatic character and personality. Definitely had an interesting mind for wrestling. I think he saw it one way. Well, maybe others didn't agree with some of the things that he had, like creative wise. I think that you need some of that creativity sometimes, to branch out. So, it's an ebb and flow type thing. But I do appreciate that he was a captivating character. He was quite important to that company for quite a while, for long stretches, and he was a champion, a couple times over. And but the saddest thing, of course, that he died so young. COVID seems to have played such a role in it. It's all sad and stuff. But I can't pick out one specific memory. Because I'm not like I didn't follow his career like that. But I do remember his feuds with, like you said, Cena, and then some stuff that he had with Daniel Bryan when Bryan was in WWF or WWE. Things like that kind of stick in my head a little bit because those are the things I've seen and watched. But he's a very captivating character. I know he also had a thing with Undertaker for a stretch. Maybe it was for a brief stretch when Undertaker was there. So, anyways, long story short, it's sad when wrestlers and people that you follow and you want to do well die so young, and it's tragic. It's tragic. What else can you say?
Well, for me, I like that second WrestleMania feud during the pandemic with Cena, the one with the pandemic paper that had that really weird match in the Firefly Funhouse that was all like
The
tripped out
the
into
cinematic match, yeah.
I love
different
that.
universes. That was a trip. That was beautiful. I thought that was great for us who had nothing at that point. Like wrestling was the only thing going live and continuing, and they really did what they could at that point without any fans, which turned out to be really cool. I think a lot of wrestling fans appreciated that too. Even people who don't like the things that sell out the business and make it look fake, even those people admit it. It was just like a cool thing. But other than that, I like the first feud with Cena was epic, dude. Was freaking epic. That was the one that had Cena questioning his legacy, right? That he had to protect his legacy. That was one of the best video packages. But unfortunately, I think at the end of his career, there was like a big struggle amongst the people writing the show or booking the show about whether or not they could use a guy like Bray Wyatt, because for a while he was getting pushed immensely as the Fiend, taking all kinds of crazy damage and taking 50 curb stomps, and then suddenly they just gave up on it, and then they jobbed him out to Goldberg in Saudi Arabia, and then he went away for a while, and then Triple H took over from Vince and brought him back and let him have another run at the end. And I don't know. I from what I heard, well, from what we hear, who knows what we hear through the internet community like means anything. But it seemed like there was once again creative differences when he was leaving, and they wanted him to fight Lesnar, and Lesnar didn't want to do it, or something like that. And then he just disappeared, and now everyone's saying he was sick during that time period. So I don't know what to believe. I don't really know if his run was cut short just by the illness at the end, or if they were going to go in a different direction creatively. Because I think Vlad even said that LA Knight feud didn't really work that good. I mean, nothing against Bray Wyatt. No, we're not trying to criticize the guy, but it just didn't really land. And like it was like, from where were they going to go from there? It was up in the air. Like nobody really knew, and maybe they couldn't figure anything out. I don't know, but yes, it is very sad, and that's that. I'm pretty sure I didn't see SmackDown today, but I'm pretty sure it was a tribute show. I'm guessing it must have been.
I bet it was.
So
I would assume they had something for sure. I'm sure
at the time of us recording this, SmackDown just ended, so I didn't get a chance to watch it. I just got home from doing things. But anyways, let's move on from that sad subject to some modern wrestling talk, because we got a bunch of reviews to get to. So let's put that behind us. Well, also Terry Funk died. I don't know if anyone wants to say anything about that. But
I mean, I just want to say real quick, he was sick for a while, but he is a revolutionary wrestler. I remember him. My Terry Funk memories are not from, like, obviously the 80s and the 70s, where he's mostly known from, but from his run in ECW. I think a lot of 90s wrestling fans remember him from there. And, of course, his run in WWF when he came back as Chainsaw Charlie. I think a lot of wrestling fans remember him as well. At least the Attitude Era wrestling fans remember him as that. I mean, they knew him as they still knew that it was Terry Funk, but obviously it was it's fun to see him in a different kind of persona. I mean, what can you say? He's been a wrestler for what, 50 years or something like that. It was crazy. He was a champion.
But he was taking. Sorry to interrupt you, Vlad, but
crazy bumps.
That's just what we got to mention. He was taking crazy bumps at the end, and he was old. He was already like freaking really old, and he was doing that, and it was like incredible, but it turned out that there were consequences. So I don't think it was worth it.
Well, I mean, he was almost 80 years old. I guess that's not considered that old in today's age anymore. But he lived a
no, but he suffered
life.
Though. Like from that he was in pain literally, like just the whole time. Mick Foley's been saying stuff like that too. So when you throw yourself off a building.
Of course, I would imagine he's in pain every day.
But what I'm trying to say is that I don't think I ever really enjoyed seeing people get brutalized. Like if none of that ever happened, I don't think it would have changed my enjoyment of wrestling. That's not really what I enjoy about wrestling. Like I'm more into like the angles and the storylines, and you could do like a beatdown scene without someone actually getting hurt. So
sure. But there was a group of wrestling fans that did like that type of style. That he did it. Well, mostly he did in ECW, where he was, going the thumbtack. Well, he also did it in Japan, of course, too. But thumbtacks, the hardcore wrestling, going into like going through fire or going onto fire, going through tables, all that barbed wire matches, right? Those was what he was kind of famous for, right? So all that stuff does take a toll on your body, that's for sure. Taking those type of crazy bumps onto those type of things. So I'm sure that played a hand in why he passed. But I mean, you try to remember he is a Hall of Famer. He's one of the great wrestlers of all time. I think anybody that really kind of followed wrestling would say so. I mean, he had such a long and lengthy career. Anyways, he was great. He was great from even the stuff that I saw when he was already older. So I could only imagine like how he was in his prime, type of thing.
Yeah, but I just wanted to make my point that I think it's at some point it gets irresponsible.
Yeah.
Like when you're that age, and maybe Sting has this issue. Sting is in his 60s. He's flying off stuff. I remember there was one show. Sorry, go ahead, Robert.
That point that you're making is something that will get brought back up in the Dynamite review.
Oh yeah.
One of the segments.
Sure.
Yeah.
So, that's all I was gonna say about that. That it just wasn't worth. I remember seeing him in 2005 when they did ECW One Night Stand, and no one ever knew if there was gonna be another ECW show, so they did one show at the Hammerstein Ballroom, and it looked exactly like the old ECW shows. And I think Terry Funk teamed up with Mick Foley, but this is just from my memory. It might have been
Right.
that year or the year after. And then they had this crazy hardcore match where they
Right.
went through tables and fire and all that and stuff.
Sure.
And you know, okay, cool. It popped the crowd and it was crazy environment and it was amazing, but it's not worth it, is what I'm trying to say. Like when I look back on it, I'm like, was that memory worth it for these people to take all that damage? I don't really think so. You know, they could figure another way. But yeah, let's wait till we talk about Dynamite. Sure. So let's move on. Let's go to some reviews. So last time we left off at the Dynamite from August 16th. So after that, there was Smackdown from August 18th, which is about a week ago now, as we're recording this. But I have a bunch of notes here, like I have the whole show written out, like detail for detail. But I don't think we're gonna go through every single show from this week like that. I could skim through it and see what we think was important or what we think was good. But let's just start with SmackDown and we'll see how we feel. All right. So the show opened with the Grayson Waller effect. Kind of an interesting figure, this guy, Grayson Waller. Before I get into what happened on the Grayson Waller effect, do you have any thoughts about him, Robert, as a character so far?
I just remember him from the when he was still in NXT. He's not in NXT anymore, right? He I thought he was a good character, and his ring work was pretty decent as well. So there's some star potential in him. That's all I really have to say about him, really.
Vlad, how about you?
He sucks. He's awful. I don't know what else to say. He's awful. He's terrible. I don't understand. They're trying to really push it, but I don't see anything. I don't see anything there. Like there's no crowd reaction. Nobody wants to see him. I don't know. I don't see it. I'm not seeing it. I'm not seeing what they're seeing. Is what I'm trying to say.
All right. I was fishing for that answer. I was wondering if anybody. I was like, okay, Robert's cool with them because they've been. Yeah, Vlad says they've been pushing him. He's had several of these Grayson Waller effect TV segments on the main roster since he's been on SmackDown. Like many of them. Like who gets this opportunity? But some people have been. He's been rubbing some people the wrong way amongst the podcasts that I listen to. Some people don't really like him. I don't really see
what do they say? I'm just curious. I mean, just that he's not good, or is there something else to it?
I really don't know what it is because I don't think he's that bad. Like I really don't think he's that bad, but people just aren't taking to him. Maybe it's the Australian accent or.
That's got to be it.
Yeah, it's just really annoying or something. He's got this smugness about him. Maybe people just genuinely don't like him, but it's not like a heel don't like him. They just don't like him. Australian people are, but I don't know. I've never met an Australian really, so, but I'm sure they're nice people. But anyway, so let's move on. So this is a vehicle, this show, to move along a few other segments, a few other storylines. So he has Ray and Santos Escobar on his show, and he's in there trying to wedge in between them and, build a little rift and say, oh, that was really Santos's title shot that he was supposed to have, and you kind of swooped in. But Santos was like, no, we're family. You're not going to do that to us. You're not going to drive a wedge, I don't. And interesting where that LWO stuff could be going, I guess. I would like it if Santos kind of turned on Ray and turned heel, because this whole nicety babyface stuff is like not really playing to Santos Escobar's really potential, I think. It's just whatever. Anyone could do that role, I think. But regardless, so Theory comes out, and he's pissed off that he had to fight Ray because it wasn't scheduled to fight Ray. So he demanded that Adam Pearce come out and just hand him the title back. Which I thought was pretty cool. I'm like, that's true, that fight shouldn't have happened. So anyways, LA Knight's music hits. So opening segment is an LA Knight segment. Okay, so we've all been talking about it and clamoring that we want him more involved in getting a push. So LA Knight comes out, and obviously the crowd goes nuts. He dresses down Austin Theory, and he pushes for a match between him and Theory for the #1 contendership, and that's what Adam Pearce agrees to at that moment. So nice spot, I think, but the one thing I didn't understand was why doesn't Austin Theory just get a title rematch? Because, you know, it was his title. Why does he have to do this match? You know? But anyways, so they have the match, and The Miz comes out. Oh, yeah, that's true. So The Miz is on Raw. He's a Raw superstar, but he's just crossing over to SmackDown. And they're basically just joking about it now. They're like, yeah, I could be on whichever show I want, you know, even though this is supposed to be like a complete brand split, you know. Once again, a thing that I think buries Roman Reigns that we talked about a while ago. Okay, if people are jumping back and forth, why don't you jump back and forth and go get that World Heavyweight title? If I was really the man, I would want every belt that they came up with. But anyways, irregardless, that's a completely separate issue. But how did I get on that? Oh, The Miz. Sorry. The Miz came out to mess with LA Knight, okay? And then, so he ends up, like, causing a major distraction, and LA Knight ends up losing, gets rolled up because of that, gets his tights pulled and everything. So, okay, how about some thoughts about this LA Knight opening segment? He didn't win, but, you know, still prominent starting off the show. How about we start with Robert this time? You go ahead.
I mean, I didn't watch it. I don't really have thoughts on it. Since I didn't
okay. Oh, you didn't watch SmackDown, huh?
Yeah,
That's
I didn't.
true.
The only
right.
thing I watched was Dynamite this past week.
All right. Well, there you go. So I'm telling you then. So
I'm learning all this as you're telling it, basically.
All right. Vlad, you happy with this? Is this good enough? This is the push we wanted?
Well, I don't know. I mean, he's feuding with The Miz, who's kind of a joke character, but The Miz is very talented in his own way. He's been with the company for a long time. I don't know how to take the feud, because The Miz has been treated like such a joke for such a while now that it's hard to take a feud with him seriously. It's my only problem with it. Not that The Miz isn't capable. He is very capable. He's great on the mic, and he's obviously a pretty solid worker in his own way. So I don't know. I'm not sure what to make of it, but it's been entertaining.
Well, it's supposed to be a win for him. Like, it's just going to put him over and then he'll move on. If that's what it is, right? And if that's what it is, then that's fine, because it's a good feud, you know. And
it's got to be what that is. It's got to be. He's got to win. So,
yeah. Another thing I would mention was that about this segment is that Austin Theory, I think, is always doing well. I really like him. I think he pulls off whatever you send him out there to do really well. So he was upset, and I thought that was funny. I thought he sold that really well. And the match between him and LA Knight, you know, is a match that, well, it didn't have a clean ending, but I think there could be more there between LA Knight and Austin Theory. So that's a feud that I could imagine being something in the future, like maybe a WrestleMania thing or something like that. Because I thought that was too good of a match for SmackDown, but it didn't have a clean ending, so it means they could kind of still re-explore that someday, I guess. So that was that. Let's move along. How about some other angles from that SmackDown show? So Damage Control lost to Charlotte and Bianca in just like a blind tag team match, kind of. I mean, they're all kind of involved with each other, but it was just like a no-reason tag team match that Damage Control lost. But the interesting thing was that they found Bianca in the back and beat her down, just heel style, you know, just wanting to be bad guys, which I think that's cool, you know. I think that's good. That's something, you know. Damage Control pushing their weight around. Just thought I'd mention it. I like that segment. If anyone wants to say anything about Damage Control.
No. Well, I mean, doesn't that happen all the time on WWE? Or actually on all wrestling companies now? You just get beat down all the time in the back. It's like, that's like a thing. So if it doesn't happen all the time, I would say, yeah, that's a good segment.
Well, if you include AEW, yeah, it happens all the time. But in WWE, it's like not quite as much. So in my head,
it still happens a lot.
I try to separate the two shows, because I know AEW is out there killing the business and just flipping and dying, and everybody's getting thrown everywhere, and you know, it's just chaos. And I have to look at WWE like in its own universe, kind of, you know, its own storyline, because I don't want to be thinking like, because AEW is doing all kinds of backstage beatdowns, that WWE is doing it too. You know what I mean? But it's true though; it does happen. So it might happen again during our reviews of some shows coming up. But okay, fine. I just thought it was something. I'm like, all right, at least they're giving them a personality. They're being a-holes, and to me that was fine. So let's see what else happened. Okay, so there was a Paul Heyman interview. This was the only thing that had to do with the bloodline on this show. So that girl who keeps interviewing him, that he has like, kind of a beef with. Do you know which one I'm talking about? What?
Something is that the Braxton? Something Braxton?
Kayla Braxton, is it?
Kayla Braxton.
So she's interviewing him.
Yeah, she's good. She's good.
Yeah, their interactions are real uncomfortable,
Yeah, it's great. It's great.
It's real bad because Heyman doesn't really care. Like he'll just treat her bad. He's like the Penguin. Yeah. He's like, he knows like no woman's ever gonna want to be with him. So he has like
exactly. He doesn't care.
Wow. So she's interviewing him, or she tries to get a comment about what's going on between the Usos, and he gets all weird with her and starts saying like, oh, you're coming in here asking all these personal questions about my family. What about your family? What about your dad? What's your dad up to? What's your cousin up to? Like getting freaky with her, right? Like really creepy. And so that was a moment, right, Vlad? I don't know. That was a Paul Heyman moment to me. And the only thing that really came of it, though, was that he said that Jimmy Uso will be here next week. Okay, so that's the tribute show today that we're not covering because none of us have seen it. So I guess we'll talk about that next week if that actually happened. So, yeah. So he promised Jimmy will be there. And to me, the only thing that was significant about that interview was just Paul Heyman being Paul Heyman. That could go on a Paul Heyman best of DVD, I guess.
Oh, yeah. Paul Heyman is great. Paul Heyman is great.
So it was also Edge's 25th anniversary. If you didn't see this, Robert, so they kept peppering.
That I did watch, but only because it was like it was a YouTube video. They showed the highlights of his final match. So that's the only thing I know about that happened in SmackDown.
Yeah, some people were expecting something weird to happen in this match, or that this was a setup because they just kind of shook hands and they're like, "Hey, we're friends. We should have a match. We always wanted to have a match. Let's go have a serious." Match, okay? And so they had a match and nobody really turned on anybody because I think some wrestling fans kind of expect things like that when it's kind of obvious, but nothing happened. So they just had a regular match and Edge won. So good for him. Some people are saying it could actually be his last match. I don't know. So if that's so, that kind of was a crappy last match. Like why would they do it on SmackDown? Why not at WrestleMania? You could sell Edge's last match at WrestleMania.
Was this in Toronto, or where was SmackDown at?
Yeah, it was in Toronto.
Somewhere in Canada. No, it was
That's
Toronto.
true. Good point.
Okay, that's probably why he wanted his last match to be there. Maybe I don't know. It's just.
Well, I mean, from what I've read, he's been trying to work an agreement to either extend, but something's not happening. I don't know what's happening with WWE. If they're not on board or he's not on board. So now there are rumors, hey, maybe he could go to AEW. That's been discussed too. So, I'm not saying he's on his way to AEW, but, it could happen. I mean, and it did seem, based on the fact that his wife was there, Beth Phoenix, and I don't know if his kids were there, but it seemed like he was emotional. She was emotional. It did seem like it was like maybe a last match type of situation.
Ah, man. I kind of doubt it. I'm not really seeing that, but okay.
Oh, that he could go to AEW, or that is his last? Which one?
No, that it'll be his last match. I think he might.
I don't see him going to AEW, but I also don't think that's his last match.
It was the 25th anniversary, so it was worth having him just out there to have a match. But I think they can come up with something else. Someone should bring him out of retirement, some heel or something, and be like, "Oh, that's it? You just want to retire now?" Like, that would be a good way to kind of put some shine on a bad guy. But I think they could do that for a WrestleMania, not this. That's just my feeling about it. So that was basically it for SmackDown. No bloodline stuff. I guess the LA Knight being involved. Not really much else. So, would you call that a thin show, Vlad, or no?
It was thin.
They gave the people what they wanted, though. They gave the people the megastar, LA Knight. What do you mean it was thin? It's like if you went to the show and you saw Stone Cold, you'd be like, "Oh, no, man. That's all anybody needs to see right now, right?" You just see his presence and his aura, and you're like, "Oh, Oh, it's LA Knight.
That doesn't
If you
make
go
the
to a
whole, that
SmackDown
doesn't make the
show,
whole show good just because of that segment.
Man, I've seen episodes of Raw where like Stone Cold literally was not on the show for the entire time, and then he just came in at the last 2 minutes and beat up Vince, and that was it. You know, but okay. No, I mean I agree with you. I'm playing devil's advocate. It seemed like a thin
Got it.
SmackDown. Okay, it's when it's at least when it started out with LA Knight, but then there was really nothing after that. So let's see. Collision August 19th was the next night, so that was a few days ago now as we're recording. So the show started with Samoa Joe. Did you see this one, Robert? You didn't hear about this one?
I was working that day.
All right, so Samoa Joe is gonna fight this jobber guy named the Golden Vampire. And then the Golden Vampire just like jump starts it. This guy, the Golden Vampire, just jump starts the match and just fucking starts whooping on Samoa Joe, like beating his ass outside of the ring, throws him in the ring, and then gives him the what's the move called? What's CM Punk's move called? Vlad?
Go to sleep.
The go to sleep.
GTS.
Yeah,
GTS.
I was gonna say the get the hell out of here. Okay, the GTS. At that point, it's Punk, right? So, and then he took off the mask, and it's Punk.
Okay, that's what happened.
And then he accepted the match that Samoa Joe challenged him to last week. Because Samoa Joe said, "Fight me, bitch," and then Punk said, "I accept, bitch." So there you go.
So it was CM Punk in a mask. That's what it was.
Yeah.
it was like a full costume. It was a full costume.
Wow.
But I don't think the bell rang, so it wasn't really a match. He just kind of gave him the go to sleep, and that was it. The bell never rang, so it was not an official match between Punk and Joe. I thought about that because I was like, did the bell ring or what? Because that could count as a win, but okay. Anyways, what do you think of that, Vlad? What do you think of this opening scene?
Liked it a lot. I mean, it was obvious from the get-go that it was Punk, but I remember something similar, but at least DDP and when Macho Man and DDP were feuding in the mid '90s, DDP dressed up as La Parka, but at least that was a character like that was in WCW, to kind of fool Macho Man and then like getting the best of them, right?
Yeah.
But here he just dressed up as like a nobody, and it was obvious from the get-go some things. I'm like, I know Joe's been feuding with like beating jobbers the last couple of weeks, but this was a full costume. It looked really ridiculous. So I'm like, this doesn't look great. I'm like, I know he's been having some job matches, but even this is.
I agree with you that they could have done a little more with that costume. You were right. If they could have just chose any luchador off the roster and just let him wear his mask or something. And
well, they could because Punk. Well, that's like he was also wearing some kind of shirt or something because Punk's known for his tattoos.
Yeah,
you know that it's Punk.
I'm just saying they could have disguised it a little better because it was kind of stupid.
For sure.
Joe was an idiot for falling into that trap. And then
it's like the Golden Vampire. Who the Golden Vampire? That was Joe. And
I'm dying just hearing that Golden Vampire.
I mean, it was a dumb name and a dumb looking gimmick. So the fact that Joe fell for it makes you think that he's not too bright is basically what you're kind of saying. But it was good.
I kind of watch Collision now just because of that.
Just watch that segment.
Just watch it because it's really quick. It's like an 8-minute thing, so it happened really quickly. Yeah. So I mean, it was good. I still liked it, but yeah, obviously there's issues with it. But if we're being Malaparte smarks like we are, like we're known to be, you could take issue with anything, and I could take issue with this, but I still enjoyed it. I mean, it's been done before. It's a classic wrestling kind of trope, but at least here I was entertained. I can't say I wasn't. I enjoyed it.
Well, what about just the weak just lines like, fight me, bitch. I accept, bitch. Like, come on, that's so simple and like childish. It's like you got your own show and this is what you came up with. Okay.
I don't know. I mean, so you're saying you didn't like that opening segment. You didn't like that he dressed up and then kind of. I thought it was creative. I didn't think it was that bad. I mean, I thought what ruined it is who he dressed up as and the wrestling name that he gave. The Golden Vampire is ridiculous. Nobody should fall for the Golden Vampire as a wrestler. You know, even if it was like some independent schmo that they got from like I don't even know where, but you know, so I think the show was somewhere in Kentucky, but they got him like in the middle of Kentucky. It would still not make any sense. But I know what you're saying, but I still enjoyed it. But
All right. Yeah. Well,
like
we're being Malapert marks here. I'm trying to criticize this. I don't know. For me, it didn't really land that great. I'm not really loving this Joe feud. I'm like, okay, so you wanted to work with people that you want to work with, and this is what we get. And I'm like, it's okay. It's like the damage control thing from SmackDown. I'm like, it's a thing. At least they did a thing to try to be interesting. But I'm not saying I was so really in love with this. But that's it. Anyways, let's move along. So what else do we have on Collision? So there was Jay White against Dalton Castle, which I don't know if you know Dalton Castle, Robert, but I'm actually kind of a fan. I think he's extremely professional with his gimmick. You know, he really like it. It seems real when he does it. When other people, when they do their gimmicks, it seems like they're kind of just faking it. You know what I mean? But
so what is his gimmick?
He's this like flamboyant guy. He's got the boys with him. They're like his servant boys. It seems kind of, you know, flamboyant, I guess is the word I could use.
Okay.
If you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
So his boys, they help him out, but they're also a tag team in Ring of Honor. Like they're good wrestlers, but they help him get out of his costume. It's a little, you know, provocative, I guess. But but he's really funny. He's hilarious. Did you watch this, Vlad? Do you have any thoughts about Dalton Castle?
I think the only thought I have is actually watching a little bit of the match. The guy can work. He's actually a really quality wrestler. But the problem is the gimmick, and I just disagree with Keon completely. This is a losing gimmick 100% of the time. I mean, you can't go anywhere with this gimmick. I mean, where do you go? I mean, it's just too stupid for words. I mean, you can't take it seriously. I know that there have been gimmicks like this in the past in wrestling, but they've never really. I don't think they really work. I'm sorry. I know what they're going for, but it just doesn't seem to. I don't know. In 2023, it just doesn't seem to be like a good gimmick to go with. But he is a good worker, a very good worker, and that was what was kind of interesting is that despite the dumb gimmick, the stupid gimmick as I called it, he's very capable, very good wrestler, very good wrestler. I could see why he was in Ring of Honor all those years and why he's, you know, at least AEW is giving him some sort of time here on Collision because he can work. Mm-hmm, definitely.
Yep. It is interesting to me because I actually watch Ring of Honor. I don't really talk about it on this show just because our shows go forever. But I seen him a lot. You know, he was in a TV title tournament and he got to the finals and he fought Samoa Joe. And Samoa Joe had to cheat to beat him. He had to low blow him when the referee wasn't looking. And Stokely Hathaway distracted him because Samoa Joe.
The things going on in Ring of Honor.
Yeah, Joe and Stokely are kind of in cahoots because Stokely's like one of the guys in charge. Him and Jerry Lynn.
Oh Lord.
So I seen some of Dalton Castle recently. I haven't seen him for many years, but I really like him. I think he's a good worker. And I don't know what the deal is with Tony Khan just bringing people in and out of Ring of Honor. It's kind of weird to me. I kind of feel like you should just keep them one or the other. If you're really gonna bring them to AEW, then give them like a strong AEW run. Don't just like bring them for one match, and then I don't know. So
how was that match with Jay White? Was it cool?
It was a good match, yeah. Vlad said it was a good worker. That he was a good worker. He puts in really good work. Yep. There was interactions between the Bullet Club Gold and his boys. They were kind of fighting on the outside, some flips and stuff. And another an interesting thing about this match was the promo afterwards. I think it got some people talking about Juice Robinson because he's the most charismatic out of that group. I don't know. When I was watching it, because Jay White got the microphone first, Tony Schiavone's trying to interview them, and I kind of zoned out on what Jay White was saying. I don't know. He's just got this accent. He's saying a bunch of stuff, and I'm like, I was spacing out. I didn't really hear what he said, okay? And then when Juice gets the microphone, he's just like concise, succinct. What did he say? Oh, he told them if we put Kenny Omega in the hospital, he told Hangman Page, he was talking to Page, like if we put Kenny Omega in the hospital in 2 minutes, what do you think we would do to you? "You idiot!" And he screamed like idiot, like "You idiot!" Which I was like, okay, that was like one sentence. It was concise, and he stole the show. And then after that, the Guns talked, and no one cared about what Austin and Colton were saying. So that's my review of that promo, honestly. So I like Juice Robinson. They need to like feature him more. You know, he shouldn't be like the leader of the group. Jay White should be the leader of the group, but they need to figure out how to make him like the star of the show in a way, like Scott Hall was without being champion. I don't know. If they could figure that out a little bit, I'd be happy. All right, let's go down the card of this collision for the rest of it real quick. So the Guns were there. They wanted a match. So the Guns and Juice, they were stayed in the ring, and they had a match with these guys, the Iron Savages. So they were just they came out cutting a promo. Like these guys, they're not job guys. They're wrestlers, but they're like...
No, they're job guys. They're job guys. No, they're job guys.
They're like...
No, they're
like
guys.
indie wrestlers, you know? They're indie... I guess.
Job guys. Okay, on.
So right. they came out with this...
Wait, to quote Brian, they're enhancement talent. Okay,
I don't know. I've never heard of them before, honestly. But, you know, they came out, Robert, since you didn't see this, like, with this whole spiel already, like, set up to introduce themselves and tell the crowd that they're the Iron Savages. And so they had, like, their persona and gimmick, like, set up more than a job guy. But they had a match against Juice Robinson and the Guns. It wasn't a squash. It took some time. But the Guns and Juice Robinson ended up winning. Okay. Just so you know. I don't know.
All right.
Rouge. Oh, this segment was great. This was a weird segment. So Rouge is mad at the guys in his group. He's like, they're not cutting it. They're not good enough, right? Preston Vance and Tralistico. So he calls Jose the assistant, and he wants him to take care of them. So then they cut to Tralistico and Preston Vance, who are like somewhere in Mexico, and they meet up. They get into like this really fancy fly car, and they're going around town to bars just drinking tequila and getting stupid drunk. Right? Having a good time, laughing and stuff. And then they're just walking down the street, and then a bunch of guys in like a bunch of hooded guys just grab them and throw them into a van. And so Jose the assistant and Rouge, you know, abducted Preston Vance and Tralistico. So I guess we'll find out on the next collision what the hell happened. Or maybe they'll just forget about it. Maybe we'll never hear about it again. Knowing AEW, sometimes that happens. I kind of want to see what happens.
They're dead. What else? They're gone. They've been kidnapped by the Mexican cartel. That's what's happened.
Well, moving on. There was a Ricky Starks promo. He's the star of this show, kind of. Basically, he's been the guy that they've been pushing. He's got the most shine. He was interviewed by Shivani in the back, cut a nice promo about, you know, how his anger comes from, you know, he's on suspension, right? And he's in this angle where he's being a manager now, and he's managing Big Bill, right? What do you think about that, Vlad? He just comes out with Big Bill, you know, Big Bill wins the match, and they come out with Ricky Starks' music though, even though it's Big Bill coming out, like it's like it's him coming out, I guess. He takes the win like it's his, a little bit like Christian.
A little bit like, I'm going to say like Christian, yeah.
Well, what do you think of all this?
What do I think about it? I don't know. I'm kind of torn if I like this manager role that they kind of got him doing. But I like the ending when he whipped the guy the jobber that Big Bill beat, and he whipped him with the same belt. I mean, I like that. He's getting some good heat. He's a very capable promo. He's a very capable worker. He's finally getting something to work with. I don't know if I like the specific part of the angle where he's like been suspended. Like I told you, it's kind of dumb because like so many things have happened in AEW where like that people deserve to be suspended for. Nothing ever happens, but he gets suspended for this. But anyways, despite that, yes, I am rooting for him, and I hope he does well. And I'm enjoying his heel persona very, very, very much.
All right, well let's move along. So there was some women stuff on this show. The women who've been featured on this show is Willow Nightingale and Chris Statlander, and they're in a feud against Diamante and Mercedes Martinez. Any of this registering with you, Vlad? Do you like any of that or no?
Nah, I didn't care about this. I'm sorry. It has nothing to do with the people involved, but Well, I guess it does have to do a little bit with the people involved. I just don't care about the people involved. Okay, so I guess it does a bit.
Well, what's wrong with the people involved? Willow is really good. You got to admit that. I mean, she's been fantastic.
I'm not saying she is. I can't say she is or she isn't, but I'm not really captivated by anything that she's doing, or it wouldn't keep my eyes on the screen type of thing.
The one thing I remember about this match, it was Willow against Diamante, and Mercedes Martinez came in to try to like help Diamante, and then Statlander came in and wiped her out. So it became a fair fight, and then Willow just pounced the shit out of Diamante. You know the move, the pounce? And Diamante just went into the guardrail like, but she sold it like crazy. I thought it was good work, okay? I'll give a compliment here. I watched the match.
Sure.
So that's all I'll say about it. I mean, it seems like from her work that she deserves to be out there. I don't know about this storyline though, but that's all I'll say about that. I'll give her a nice little compliment there. I don't know if you know this of this new Toni Storm persona, Robert. Have you been seeing her on Collision, being a little since she lost her world title? How she's been handling that and dealing with that?
I have not. Well, how's she been lately?
Oh.
It's hilarious, dude. It's been
fantastic.
Great.
Really?
She does backstage interviews. Well, for a couple weeks it was Shivani interviewing her,
Okay.
and she's just lost all her self confidence. You know, she looks hot as hell, but she's like telling Shivani, like, if I'm just not good enough anymore, look at the state of me.
My God.
Yeah. She says this with her hair and her makeup perfect.
So she's just been on a roll with this persona leading into her 4-way match at All In, which I'm really interested to see what's going to happen. I don't think she's going to win the title though, because it doesn't seem like.
I just want to say real quick to interrupt you. So the funny thing that happened in this interview is that she was like, when she was being interviewed by, I think, what's her name, Lexi Nair. Lexi Nair. So she was like, I don't know who you are, but the last lady that interviewed me was rude. And it was obviously last week, but she was also being interviewed by Lexi Nair.
Oh, wow.
I thought that was so good. I popped for that. I was like, that's
hilarious.
great. I'm like, that's fantastic. Okay. She's like, she's killing these promos. I mean, she's literally just killing these promos.
Me and Vlad are giving this as a highlight of Collision. Like we look forward.
It's a complete highlight.
We look forward to the Toni Storm segment.
I think the last 3-4 weeks, and then like the week before, she threw her shoe at Lexi. I thought that was great too. But it's all been great.
Yeah, and this time she told her like be more prepared. It's like it's
be more professional. You're interviewing a star. Be more professional.
That's hilarious.
So let's see what else. Let's see what else happened. Powerhouse Hobbs beat a jobber. This was really a jobber. And then he used Miro's move at the end on this jobber. It's like a camel clutch move type of move. Yeah. And so then Miro came on the big screen. I can't remember anything he said, honestly. Every time he talks about the same thing, that he's moving on from God and he's trying to find a new thing or something like that. And basically they're setting this match up. It's going to be at All Out, Robert, not at All In.
Okay.
So it's for the week after. So they're already setting stuff up.
I just want to say, I have to quote Cornette's podcast here. He said, well, it looks like Miro won his feud with God, and he's moving on to Hobbs. He beat God, and now he's on to something else.
That's where he's been this whole time, I guess.
Yeah. I'm like, okay, that is pretty funny. Because we don't know what he's saying. And I think Cornette said the same thing. We really don't know what it is that he's actually trying to say, or what he's trying to get across. But it does seem to like captivate you in its own way, because it's something mesmerizing about it. I don't know what it is. Again, maybe it's the way he delivers it, but anyway,
it's the subject matter too, man. I mean, it's controversial talking about God, like that. So it's kind of like, damn, this guy's really saying that. Whoa, I guess.
But what is he really saying? We don't really even know what he's saying.
He says God's. I remember him saying God's a fool. He definitely said that. This fool.
Said that,
nowadays, whenever he mentions God, he doesn't even say God. He's like, this fool. He's like, yeah, I'm not gonna let you do to me like this fool did, and he looks.
Okay, that's I can see that as controversial.
So, it is hilarious, but I guess if he doesn't feel like he's gonna get smited, why not? Go for it. Anyways, the main event was Darby Allin versus the TNT champion Christian Cage, and it was a non-title match because
Wait,
Darby Allin won.
Christian Cage is a TNT champion?
No, Luchasaurus is actually.
Oh, okay. I just wanted to clarify. Okay.
But Christian actually carries the belt and always holds it, like he is the champion.
I was just a little confused right there, but go ahead.
Yeah.
Well, you have not seen like any of Collision. Like, do you just never watch Collision? I guess.
Well, this past Saturday I was working, and I forgot what I did the week before. But yeah,
ever since that first episode when he helped Luchasaurus win the title, he says he won the title, so he's been holding the belt ever
He
since.
just carries it.
And acting like he's a champion and saying he's the champion. So that's the running gag. Well, after the match, now
I was being sarcastic, right?
Oh, okay.
But okay.
Well, I figured you knew something.
No,
actually,
I knew about that.
Well, maybe he might have missed like 1 week where actually something happened and.
No, just the past couple of weeks. I know.
Okay.
I know.
No. Nothing happened. Luchasaurus is still the champ. So, what happened after the match, though, is Darby Allin got the pin clean, and they proceeded to try to whoop his ass. And, they did. They left him laying, and they got Tony Schiavone to grab the mic and count the 3 on Darby Allin and declare Christian the TNT champion. So that was a pretty asshole thing to do. I guess there's been a lot of assholery going around the wrestling world, as Vlad says. You're right. Now that I'm seeing all these shows, everyone's just peeling it up, huh? No, nothing's registering to Vlad. Damage Control just whooped Bianca Belair's ass in the back. He's like, well, that happens all the time. What do I care?
Well, yeah, sort of. That wasn't exactly what I said, but it was close enough.
All right, let's move along to Monday Night Raw. We're getting close to an hour, so we're gonna try to do Raw and Dynamite real quick. Raw is Raw, so let's run through it. Oh God, I gotta mention though that this whole thing, because they were in Quebec this time, and I was so annoyed by KO and Sami Zayn going out there and trying to be baby faces. I'm like, ugh.
Well, they are baby faces though.
But it's like I'm rolling my eyes, like, okay, they're talking French, and it's only the Quebecers that understand them. Like, oh my God, this is so lame. I just thought it was lame. Yeah. Okay, maybe I was in a bad mood that day, but whatever.
Probably.
So what happens? Judgment Day come out because it's their show, right? They run Judgment Day, and they get into a thing with. Did you see any of this, Robert, or no? I don't think you watched.
So I don't know anything that happened in Raw except. I heard about something about Chad Gable, but go ahead.
Oh yeah, we'll get to that. But anyways, so they challenged them to a match for tonight. It's going to be the main event against Judgment Day, and Judgment Day got to figure out who is good, who out of the 4 of them are going to be in the match. So, they throughout the show they go backstage, they show them kind of bickering and squabbling, trying to figure it out, and then Rhea has been the one who's been like the dominant one, and it's like if you guys don't figure it out, I'm gonna figure it out for you. So that's what happened in the end. By the time it got to the main event, she literally was, I don't think she was grabbing them by the ear, but she was pushing in Finn Balor and Damian Priest and like, go do it, go get it done. So she pushed them out there to the match, and they ended up what happened? They ended up losing. They got disqualified because Dominic came in and, cost them the match. Got caught interfering, and then they were going to beat down KO and Sammy in front of their home crowd, but Cody Rhodes came out to save them, and then it turned into a 6-man tag, which Judgment Day again proceeded to lose. So, good God. If that's not a burial, Vlad, then what is?
Are you guys? How long have I been saying this? Have I not? I've been saying it week after week. This is their top heel group on this brand, and they lose all the time. I say this all the time. Nobody pays attention. I'm like, oh, this is okay. They still have their heat. They're good. No, this is not good, dude. This is not good. If you want your heel group to get over, they have to win matches against some top competition. Brian was like, no, they still have their heat. Last week he was saying that when I said they lost again.
Well, at least last week they left somebody laying. This week they lost the match, and then they just lost fucking clean, stone cold. Like, it's over for this group. This group is getting broken up somehow. You can't recover
Well,
from this. WWE don't do this AEW type of stuff where like you just lose clean and then you come back tomorrow and pretend like it didn't happen. No, this means something that when you lose clean on this show. So they're getting buried, and this is the end. I think they're going to break up.
maybe. I mean, there's been talk, obviously, about, right, I think somebody mentioned the Priest and Finn stuff, the tension there could lead to the breakup of that group. But
Yeah, they've been teasing that. So.
for a while now. So I think it probably will happen, but, I don't think it's been handled very well because, well, I mean, it's been handled, if that's the point, is just for the breakup, yes, that's fine. But if the point was actually to get this group over, I think they kind of failed because they're constantly just looking dumb and silly, and they're always losing. So it's hard to take them seriously every time they come out talking about how they run the show when they lose.
I'm getting to that point, especially after this loss. Like I'm telling you, that's how I feel. So,
I've been saying it for weeks, but nobody listens. Finally, somebody.
I feel it now.
Yeah.
I feel it now. Now it feels like they're a weak group, honestly. So
Thank you. Yes.
unless they get their heat back next month, I'm kidding. I don't know. We'll see.
Wow.
Unless they win next week, then I'll be on their side again. Yeah.
That didn't take long.
Well, look, let's go over some other storylines and see if Vlad thinks they're ridiculous. So,
Yes.
the New Day defeated Drew McIntyre and Riddle.
No. Let's skip all that. Come on.
Come on, I gotta mention how Drew McIntyre, how far he's fallen, because he's in a
Okay, fine. Go
storyline.
ahead.
Come on, dude, this guy was during the pandemic gonna get pushed to the moon. They let him beat Lesnar clean at WrestleMania, and now he's like in this angle where he's telling Riddle like, dude, I don't want to be your partner. I don't, and then Riddle's trying to convince him otherwise. So yeah, you were like, skip it. Okay, so you don't like this. Okay, we don't even need to get your comment. Okay, it's just sad to me though. What happened here? What happened? Was it that it was Vince that was gonna push Drew, and then when Triple H took over, just didn't have the same idea? Was it because what was wrong with Drew? I don't know. I thought he was doing fine. He could do whatever you ask of him, but now he's like all the way at the bottom of the card. So it's just kind of weird to me.
I would say he's a mid card guy. I don't think he's completely under card, but he's all right. He's okay, but I don't think you could put him over some of the guys that are currently like the champions or something like that.
This storyline is pretty bad.
Yeah, of course.
I mean, it's looking like they're gonna make them a tag team, right?
Well, yeah, anything with Riddle is usually pretty bad. I personally think. I don't know where Robert stands on Riddle.
I don't see how they would mesh well together. I don't know. That's kind of an odd
the same way
thing.
he maybe the way he meshed with Randy Orton. I don't know. But anyways, I guess I'll just say that anything that when it involves the New Day and now Riddle is not something that I definitely forwarded through most of this whole thing. But I got the gist of it. Yes, I got the gist.
All right, so let's move along. So this is what Robert was talking about earlier. So Chad Gable did fight for the Intercontinental title against Gunther, and he beat him. Count out.
That's really good.
He rocked him with a crazy move that sent Gunther out, and he got counted out to 10. So his first loss on the main roster was to Chad Gable. Put him over. But no title change. So
So I didn't know about that. I didn't know there was no title change. All I heard was that Chad Gable beat Gunther. So, all right, okay.
no, they're probably gonna fight again, but it's
we have payback.
yeah, at the next pay-per-view.
Okay.
Anyways, let's move along. We got more.
Well,
top
just real
power.
quick, I just want to say, just real quick. I know we have a lot to go through. Chad Gable is an exceptional wrestler, an exceptional talent. The fact that they've been wasting him in this silly gimmick where he did the shush, thank you, is beyond me. This guy is an exquisite wrestler. I mean, the match with Gunther was tremendous. Both guys were fantastic. I don't even know. I can't make sense of WWE booking sometimes. Why make this guy into a joke when he is when he's capable? I just don't understand it. Don't understand it one bit. Why? The guy is tremendous. He's probably like a shorter version of Kurt Angle. He's just a shorter version of him.
Yeah,
He's just a little bit.
That's the same vibe I get too, like regarding Chad Gable.
He's exceptional. I don't understand the booking on Chad Gable at all. But I mean, Okay, that's all I got on that. I mean, I'm happy that he's now feuding with Gunter, and that's like a legit angle because that really was the highlight of the show for me. This was it.
It's only because he never won a gold medal with a broken freaking neck. That's why.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, yeah, that does put you over when you do that.
Yeah.
All right, let's run through the rest of these angles real quick. Rhea Ripley, she's in a feud with Raquel Rodriguez, right? So Rhea Ripley was fighting Candice LeRae, beat her, and then Raquel came in and they fought off afterwards, right? So that's just a fiery feud. They're they're
Yeah.
going at it. They're going head to head. Not really much to say about it.
I'm good with, but I'm good with this. This is a good feud. I like it.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. I'll just
Yeah,
keep it
I
short.
want
This is
to.
a
I want to
good
see the match. Yeah, I want to see the match. Shinsuke finally revealed what he whispered to Seth Rollins. It was that I know you have a back problem, and so apparently he has something to attack him with when they have their match. I still think Seth Rollins is going to win though. But did you see this package, this video package? I thought it was a nice showcase of him, you know, facial expressions, you know, showing a little bit of his charisma. What did you think? Anything positive to say about Shinsuke here, or no? You don't like this?
You're talking to me, right? Yeah.
Yeah, Vlad.
Right. Robert did not
Robert
see,
didn't see it. Yeah.
I saw this in YouTube.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
The package. I didn't. Yeah, that was it. It was really short. So
Yeah, I thought it was cool.
Yeah, it was okay. I mean, I'm not the biggest fan of Nakamura or Seth for that matter, as far as character goes. So, it was what it was.
All right, so there was more. Oh man, this was a long show. Jesus, Becky and Trish, they had a promo battle because they're gonna have a steel cage match in a couple weeks. Trish was in Canada, but she was still talking shit about Canadians to be a heel, which I thought was
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
LA Knight, he was hanging out on commentary, roasting the shit out of the Miz the whole time he was fighting his match. He fought Tozawa because he just wanted an easy match, so he booked an easy match for himself. But LA Knight came out, messed with him, and then in the end he ended up laying out Miz, right, as he left
Yes.
he left the arena. So that continues their feud. A little bit of LA Knight on SmackDown, who also said,
On Raw.
"Oh yeah," on Raw, and he also mentioned, "Yeah, if he can come to SmackDown, why can't I come to Raw?" So what the hell is this? This is annoying me, honestly. I think they should keep it separate because they made such a deal out of it and they separated the titles. Whatever. I'm so annoyed by that, but I'm gonna move along anyways. Okay, so my favorite storyline of the night is Piper Niven declaring herself Chelsea Green's partner, because Chelsea Green, because well, Chelsea. I don't know if you know this, but what's her name? Sonya Deville. Sonya Deville got hurt.
oh
So-
yeah, she's injured, legitimately injured. Right?
Yeah, so she didn't want to relinquish
She's out
the
for a
tag
while.
titles. Chelsea didn't want to relinquish her titles, so she was going to hold tryouts to choose a new partner. But Piper Niven just kind of busted in there. This was the week before, and said, "I'm your new partner." And she was like, didn't want her to be, but she was kind of bullied into it. So, but it's been very beneficial because they had a match today against two of the new girls, Katana Chance and Caden Carter, and they won real easily because of Piper Niven. She was huge, right? And she did this like crossbody onto who was it? Somebody took a mean bump, but one of the girls, I forgot if it was Chance or Carter, but Piper Niven threw her like entire body on her and just took a crossbody, and that was the end of the match. It was crazy. There's another thing you got to see, Robert. I'm gonna text this to you later.
Yeah,
This
sure.
was-
Yeah, send it to me. I'll watch it.
So I like that storyline a lot, personally. I like Chelsea Green. I think she's hilarious. So that was Raw. All the angles, basically. I did it out of order, but whatever. Vlad,
Good.
since we took the time to watch NXT on Tuesday, do you want to at least talk about Ava's match that you saw or no? Because we watched NXT on Tuesday. This was Heat Wave from August 22nd. And Ava had a match against Ivy Nile from Diamond Mine. And it was
Yeah.
it was a short match, only 2 minutes basically. Basically, she was like dominating her. Very odd. She was like beating her ass, and then she got like countered and submitted real quick. And Ava had like her whole group with her, the Schism, and these are all guys like in weird masks. And they were trying to help her after the match, and they all got their ass kicked too. This one girl beat Ava and her entire group.
What?
That was it. Yeah, and then it was weird because the storyline continued in the back because some of her cohort guys or whatever, her minions, carried her to the back, and she's cutting a promo on this girl that just beat her. Ava is. And she's trying to tell her like, oh, the argument. I would listen very carefully to this. It took me like 2-3 times to like kind of understand what she was trying to say. But basically she said, oh, you were trying to do permanent damage to me and my arm, but we stopped you. You failed because you're a failure. So she calls her out again. She calls her out to the back to meet up by that tree. So these are like segments that are like interspersed throughout NXT. So she calls her ass out. We go do more matches, and then we come back, and the girl comes, Ivy Nile. So she shows up to fight her supposedly, but it turns out that the two guys in the mask were with the other girl. She tells them, okay, take her out, beat her, and they don't do it. And she's like, what the fuck? Why don't you listen to me? And then, so they grab her, and they rough her up, but they don't really show it on camera, and I guess they kidnapped her. And they're telling the Schism that if you don't fight us next week and give us our reinstatement back into NXT, we're not going to let you see Ava ever again. So pretty wild story going on here between the Diamond Mine and the Schism.
I would say some of that stuff is pretty illegal, but okay, we'll roll with it.
Well,
look, I'm not going to talk about that. I think the story was beyond stupid. It was an AEW like segment, but I will say that she is a good, like, I don't know what her wrestling abilities are yet. It's hard to tell from this one match. She's kind of like she's bulky, she's big. She seems like she could be, she needs to gain some like more muscle, but she's a good looking athlete, and I think there's something there possibly.
Yeah.
There's potential there.
In that 2 minutes.
I'm only going to talk about that part of it. What's going on in actually the angle I don't want to even discuss because that doesn't deserve. What you just said, Kaelan, hurt my head. It hurts me deep inside. Just thinking about everything you just said.
Well, this is for Brian, who's not here today, but he wants us to review NXT, so I'm going to at least try to watch some of it nowadays. But I'm not going to go through the whole thing today because there was a lot weirder stuff than that, to be honest, if I were to... Well, there was one good match. It was the first time you saw one of those Heritage Cup matches where they have like rounds. This was one of the better ones. Noam Dar beat Nathan Frazier, the heel, and then he spit on him afterwards. Right, Vlad?
That I saw.
That was pretty crazy. I like both those guys personally. I mean, I like the idea of the Heritage Cup. I don't know if you know about this, Robert. Well, there's a cup. It's like a championship, but it's not a belt. It's a cup.
Okay.
But it's challenged under Heritage Cup rules, which is 3-minute rounds, and usually 6 rounds if it's a title match. And if you win a fall, the round ends, basically.
Okay.
So it's kind of cool. It's like a little bit like a boxing match, but
that's what it sounds like. Yeah.
Yeah, but it gets interesting. Like this one was really interesting. I don't want to go through it blow for blow with you guys since you guys didn't watch it. You don't know any of these characters involved, but. That's another positive I would say about the show. Other than that, I'm not going to go through the whole, what was there, Carmelo Hayes beat Wes Lee for the title at the end.
Yeah, for the title at the end. That was pretty much the main story. And that Ilya Dragunov is, I think, I don't know, is he fighting the winner? He's fighting the winner.
I guess, yeah, because he won his match against Trick Williams. So he should get the next title shot. So there you go. All kinds of other stuff. NXT. All right, so look, for Dynamite, this is the one that I have the least amount of notes for.
That's the only show I actually watched.
Well, it's okay. We'll still go through the card and see what happens. Vlad, do you got notes for this or what?
I have some minor notes, but I wouldn't say they're like detailed notes. I have notes that I just took, of what
All right.
of what I thought were highlights.
All right, well, let's start. Let's see if you could explain this first segment to me. So it turned out to be the Elite, and Kenny Omega came out with the Young Bucks, right? So it's always a happening when you got all three of the Elite together, right? And so they're thrown into a match against Bullet Club Gold, right? But this match didn't come off, right? It didn't happen.
No, it just becomes a big schmoz.
It was just a brawl started, and
Yeah.
then the match never actually started. I don't know. I was really confused by this. It's like, what is going on here?
Well, what's his name? Beat up the referee, Juice Robinson. So he took out the ref.
That's right. That's right. I forgot
And
about
at that point, they didn't want to have the match because I guess that's too much. You know what I mean? So, hold on one second. I'm pulling up
That's a
my
weird way to start the show.
Fighter Fest notes. Okay, this was Fighter Fest, by the way. You know, I like when these weekly shows have like a name. Like NXT this week was Heat Wave. You know,
That's right.
Kind of makes it feel like a little special. You know, so let's
Even
move
if they're
along.
not. No, but I will say that, you know what? I didn't hate this opening segment. It was chaotic, and sometimes chaos is good. Sometimes you don't want to just start like you always do with like a match. They were about to have a trios match, excuse me, which they've done maybe a million times on this show. So I think starting with some chaos can be good sometimes.
Better than them actually having a 6-man match. You're right.
Absolutely. You took that part right out of my mouth. Yes.
All right. So another thing that happened was Ray Phoenix versus Jon Moxley. So this is a booking where these guys are all involved in the Stadium Stampede. Sorry.
Stadium Stampede.
Yeah,
That was a slip. Yeah. Oh my God, Vlad, that's sad. What
was Spring Stampede? Was that an old WCW show?
That was WCW, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So Stadium Stampede. So Ray Phoenix and Moxley. So they had a Moxley Ray Phoenix type of match. I don't know if you guys want to make any comments about it. Other than this is one of those where like these guys are doing all kinds of dangerous stuff right before a pay-per-view that's supposed to be big. Like, doesn't everyone want to show up to that show? Like, a lot of these guys are trying their damnedest not to get on this show, you know? So, but Ray Phoenix...
match. I thought it was just okay.
Yeah, Ray Phoenix actually is off that show, so it kind of makes sense a little bit now why he was doing all them flips. Doesn't matter if he hurt himself. He's not going to be there. Right, Vlad? I think you told me that he had some kind of problem getting a visa or something.
Visa issue is what I heard. So that's why they had to pull him from the show, make it a 5-on-5. Brought in Santana and Ortiz. Santana, who I'm a big fan of. Wait, or is it Ortiz? Which one is Santana's the taller one, right?
Yeah, Ortiz is the goofier one.
Yeah. So Santana, I like. I know he's been injured. Off. He was off for a year or so. So I like them as a team, and but it looks like they're heels here. Came back as heels, which I guess they're better suited for, anyways. I mean, this match is going to be still pretty ridiculous. I mean, I don't know how they're gonna be able to pull this off. It's going to be hard to fathom how they do this in front of.
This is a train wreck waiting to happen. Robert, we haven't talked to you in a couple weeks. What do you have any ideas about that Stadium Stampede feud with everybody going on in that? Is that something you're into?
What could happen in that match? I don't know what the Stadium Stampede is.
Oh man, it's basically the Best Friends, the Lucha Brothers, and Orange Cassidy, and they were fighting the Blackpool Combat Club. They've just been having a thing for the past few weeks. Okay. So, and Eddie Kingston is with them too because Ray Phoenix is out. Yeah. So those guys are feuding against Blackpool Combat Club, who were supposed to find partners to do Stadium Stampede, and this is all Eddie Kingston idea. So I don't know.
Have you seen a Stadium Stampede before? Those type of.
Is it a WCW thing or?
No, it's an AEW thing.
This is all AEW thing.
It was from the pandemic era when they had no audience, so they would fight in that football field, the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Oh, okay. You know what? Yes, then I did see that, but I just forgot that's what it was called.
Yeah, but that was in an empty
Yes.
stadium, so we don't really understand what the fuck is gonna go on here. But I
Well,
assume
they did. I think they did one even when it wasn't empty, and it ended up being pretty crappy. And then I think they got to the ring at the end, but yeah, I don't have high hopes for this match. I mean, I don't. Yeah, I mean, some people actually like the people involved. I'm not a fan of most of them. Like I said, I'm a fan of Santana, Claudio, and yeah, that's it. Well, Eddie Kingston I enjoyed on the mic, but as a wrestler, not really.
All right, well, let me move on to the next segment. I want to hear your thoughts about this Chris Jericho and Will Ospreay contract signing.
Yeah.
They had a pretty intense promo battle. Ospreay got some time on the mic. I don't know, there's something about him talking that's just kind of like jarring to me. I don't know what it is. He's not a...
What do you mean?
Probably the accent.
I
The
don't
accent
know.
again? Is it the
Probably
accent?
the accent.
I was trying to listen to him, but I'm like, I kind of got tired of listening to him. If
Well,
that makes
it's
any
weird, Jan,
sense.
because you watch a lot of English Premier League, so you should be more familiar with this type of accent.
Yeah, no, I am, but dude, English Premier League, those are like the nicest, most proper, like, you know, tennis commentators are, you know, commentating. Like, this guy is, I don't know, he doesn't sound like a golf commentator. Let's just put it that way, you know?
Well, yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah, but does either of you have any thoughts about this?
I thought this was really good, actually. I'll
Yeah,
just say
I
real
thought
quick.
so too.
I thought this was great. I'm almost hesitant to say great, but I think I think I'm gonna lean towards great. This was actually Jericho's like best stuff in a while, and Ospreay
So,
was pretty
like,
good here too. I mean, yeah, I thought.
the part about him telling him, I called you and I told you not to do such high risk moves because I want you to prolong your career. You owe me for that. You know, all that stuff. I'm like, is that something that really needs to be brought up at this point? Like,
That's why I mentioned earlier in the show when you were talking about Terry Funk, that the point that you were trying to make, it gets brought up during this segment.
That's true.
By Chris Jericho. So I was like, I'm gonna remember to say that again. So yeah,
yep. I mean, it is a
enjoyed
point.
this
It's a
segment
real point.
lot, actually. I enjoyed this segment a lot. This was pretty cool. Chris Jericho is very hyped up for this match, especially after Ospreay asked him, "Are you even taking this match seriously?" And Jericho, the way Jericho responded, you can tell he definitely is taking it pretty seriously. Yeah, I'm looking forward to this one actually.
You are looking forward to this, okay? Because this is one that I've heard has been criticized as a booking, just in general. Like, Vlad, did you say you didn't like this booking originally?
Well, yeah. I mean, I admit that I don't know what you can really. Well, what Ospreay's going to have to do to get Jericho to have a good match is going to be hard to see. But as far as just this segment, I enjoyed. I thought it was, usually Jericho's stuff is a lot of tongue in cheek, a lot of like hard to take serious stuff. I think he was pretty serious here, more than he usually is. So I enjoyed that aspect of it. There was some realism based on it, and I thought Ospreay kind of did well. Yeah, his accent kind of throws you a bit. Maybe that's what kind of threw you, Ken. I don't know.
Yeah, but he did seem serious. At least it seemed serious.
He said some stuff that was like, it was pretty good overall.
All right, how about this next booking for this Dynamite before the pay-per-view? It's a Texas Tornado match. FTR. No, wait, hold on. It's Swerve Strickland and AR Fox against Darby Allin and Nick Wayne, which is kind of close to what was originally booked. Swerve and AR Fox against Darby and Sting instead of Nick Wayne. But now they have this match, which is very similar to a match they're supposed to have in a couple days. And again, everyone's flying everywhere ahead of this big pay-per-view, like taking all kinds of risky bumps. AR Fox specifically. But seeing as what happened after the match, it makes a little sense now. Again, that it didn't matter for him because he's not going to be on that card. I mean, he might be in some way, but
Yeah.
what do you think of the ending to this, Robert? When Swerve Strickland basically threw AR Fox out of the Mogul Embassy for getting pinned by an 18-year-old kid.
Thought it was dumb. I mean, I don't know. It's just it just made it seem like they were planning to kick him out anyways at some point. I don't know. It just felt really dumb and rushed.
Yeah, I mean, I guess they're trying to put Swerve over here as like a heel,
Yeah.
but the bad part about it to me was that I kind of really
Well,
liked
well, one other thing, like the follow up after that, were what's his name?
Darby came out.
Yeah, Darby came out and extended his hand to AR Fox, and AR Fox immediately hugged him. I thought there could have been at least a little bit of hesitation. You know what I mean?
Just 2 weeks ago, he
Yeah.
literally
Yeah.
almost killed Nick Wayne.
Exactly. Exactly.
Left him in a pool of
This was
blood.
happening a little too fast, in my opinion. Yeah, that just.
Hey, but that's how benevolent Darby Allin is. He'll forgive his friends. You know, you'll always
Okay,
be
but
my
at least
friend.
AR Fox Fox's reaction to that could he could have like at least hesitated, like, oh, should I not, but no, he was like right away, he's like, oh yeah, we're cool now, like, really.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, he's got nowhere to go. All his friends ditched him, so of course I know he's gonna go back with his tail tucked between his legs, though. It's a little shameful. But
I know.
to me, I was gonna say the bad part about this to me was that I thought AR Fox was doing really well as a heel, really, really well. Oh crap!
I mean-
I agree. Yeah, that's true.
Hey, hold on to that thought, guys. My earbud died battery, so I gotta go get some headphones that have wires. Just give me 30 seconds. Talk amongst yourselves about AR Fox.
Hey,
He's
we really have to talk. I mean, poor AR Fox. The guy turns heel 3 weeks ago, and they make a big deal out of it. And 3 weeks later, they kick him out of the group. Like, what was the point of what happened 3 weeks ago? I mean, this is some ridiculous booking right there. But I guess it's just to get Christian involved, or I don't even know what the point of it was. Maybe get more star power on the show. Christian's obviously a bigger name than AR Fox, but
Of course.
yeah. So
He's the TNT champion. Or I'm sorry, wait, no. He's the guy that holds it.
he's the guy that says he's the TV champion. That's all that matters.
All right. Well, good point.
Sounds back.
I forgot to mention that, Vlad, that yes, Christian is going to enter this match, which is cool. That's a nice addition for the.
I will say Christian cut another great heel promo here, real quick. I mean, I'm not going to go what he said because but he was great. I mean, he's just such a great heel. I mean, he's pretty much the best heel promo. When he, it's him and maybe like when MJF is heel. Well, MJF obviously because he's just a great promo no matter what. But Christian is really talented on the mic. So very very talented.
Oh, he said some really bad things here, right? About who was
AR Fox.
AR
You
Fox.
stuck with AR Fox.
No, didn't he say something about Nick Wayne's dad?
Oh yeah.
Darby too.
Yeah.
Oh, Nick Wayne's dad. Nick Wayne's dad. That's
yeah.
right. That's right.
He's done that before though. He did that with Jungle Boy's dad. So he goes straight for the jugular. It's pretty wild. Christian is vicious.
He gets personal real quick.
All right. So how about these two interviews that they did? They finally didn't do like a comedy segment and an in-ring promo. So 1 week before the last Dynamite, before the pay-per-view, it was a backstage sit-down interview with who interviewed them? Renee? Was it Renee Paquette?
Renee. Yeah.
Yeah.
So first he interviewed MJF, and then Adam Cole. And this was their last chance to get if we could get any answers or any clues about what's going to happen. Let's see. Let's talk about just the interviews first before we get to the main event and what happened in that tag team match between the Ring of Honor tag team champions and Adam Cole and MJF. So how about comments just about these two interviews, Vlad? Let's start with you.
Well, Cole's was kind of weird. To start with that, he was like calm, and then as they kind of kept showing like the videos of like where it looked like he might be turning on MJF, he lost it. Oh, why are you asking me these questions? I'm out of here. Oh, no. I'm like, what? I mean, what is
Well,
wrong
yeah,
with
he's
this
tired of
guy?
people
This guy-
questioning their friendship, obviously.
Yeah, but seemed like an overreaction. That's for sure. It seemed like it wasn't warranted. It didn't seem warranted. But I kind of thought that was kind of silly. MJF was like, he kind of really babyface promo, but his smile at the end still makes you think like this guy's up to something, man. There's no way MJF can be that nice. For God's sakes, it's MJF. He's the devil, right? That's his gimmick. So it's like there's no way. So something is going to have to give here. I know I've said my piece that I think it's going to be Cole that turns on MJF, but I could see either one still happening. I mean, I could see either one kind of still turning on the other. And I think they're doing a decent enough job where you just don't know. And I guess you give them a little credit to the fact that you're not 100% sure one way or another. But I mean, we didn't really learn much from these interviews, except for the fact that we really just don't know what to expect still. We really don't.
Robert, before I get your predictions, because we haven't gotten them from you. We did it on the show the other day about what we think is going to happen for All In between these two guys. But just since we're reviewing this Dynamite, do you have any comments about these two backstage interviews?
I thought MJS was good, but I don't know, like him maintaining a face persona throughout an entire interview and like maintaining his composure too, like I think is a little off-putting for me. I don't know personally. Whereas Adam Cole, he's supposed to be like the face between the two of them, and he's the one that loses his cool. I don't know. I feel like I know I'm not going to wasn't really supposed to go into predictions just yet, but I think it makes it seem like Adam Cole's the one that's going to be the one that's turning on MJF and not the other way around. That's my guess, just based on how these interviews went.
Man, that would be crazy.
Or it could just be something they want us to think. It's hard.
That could be misleading too. So
yeah, it could just be the simple answer. It could just be the one that everyone should be expecting, which is MJF turning on everybody like he always does. Like he always has he's done like 2 already flashes of babyfaceness, and then he always says, "You remember, I'm actually the devil, right?" The greatest trick the devil ever played was making people believe that he didn't exist, right?
He took that line from CM Punk.
So there you go. But he's been true to that, like always in AEW. So, but I don't know if you heard my prediction, Robert, but I said it on the last show. I'll just mention it to you here real quick. But my prediction is that they're gonna stay friends. That Roderick Strong is gonna come out and like kind of distract MJF like by accident, and he's gonna cost him the match. And then at the end, they're gonna hug it out and stay friends, and the crowd's gonna pop.
MJF is gonna lose. Cole's gonna win.
No, Cole's gonna lose. Cole's gonna lose.
Oh, he's gonna come.
Roddy's gonna come in. Okay. Adam Cole's gonna be like, "What are you doing here? Get out of here, man! I don't need, I need to do this myself or something." And then that's gonna be like the distraction that's gonna cause him to lose. So, but then they're gonna stay friends, and they'll be like Ring of Honor Tag Team Champions. So, well, let me go through what happened at the rest of this show, because there was a incident with the Ring of Honor Tag Team Champions who fought the Hardys, right? Matt and Jeff Hardy, Aussie Open. So that was a good showcase for them. And Jeff Hardy just did the job, took the pin clean, square in the middle of the ring. Good on him. He's back in the game. He's got through his troubles and he's doing what he can for the wrestling business at this point, because I guess that's just the most he can give, is to put somebody over and make them look good. So at least he did a good job there. And Aussie Open got the mic, and they were talking crap about MJF and Adam Cole, saying there's no way they're going to hit the kangaroo kick or the double clothesline. And then they come out, right? They stomp out together in unison to their new amazing theme song, their mix of their 2 songs. And they get into like a good brawl with these guys. This has been a good feud. For the Ring of Honor Tag Team titles, giving it a little attention. That's pretty good. And then at the end, he was going to hit the kangaroo kick, but he didn't. Like they bailed out of the ring. And then what happened? What was the ending? They were gonna hold. Adam Cole almost kicked MJF, right? While MJF was holding one of the guys, and
That's right.
he almost super kicked him, and MJF got really pissed and looked at him, and he was looking at his dynamite diamond ring, thinking like, should I clock this guy with it? And then they hugged it out. So back and forth, this really schizophrenic. MJF is kind of crazy. He has like these like real like deep-seated evil intentions that he's trying to like fight off. But it seems like it's real. So I don't know. I could see both ways happening. I could see MJF staying face. I think they could do that if they want. Like, it's a perfect spot for him to stay face if he really wanted to. I don't know though. I don't think that's gonna happen. I don't think it's gonna happen that way where Adam Cole turns on him. If anything, this friendship is just gonna continue because I think it's been hot and they're gonna try to ride it out. But I think.
So what's your prediction, Vlad?
I think the Kingdom is going to interfere, meaning the Kingdom and Roddy, and they're going to cost. I think my prediction is they're going to cost MJF the title, and it's going to end up being the Coles like with the Kingdom. Now I don't know if they're going to reveal all of that this show, or are they waiting for the next? It would make sense for them to do it on this show because this is like the big crowd, right? 80,000 people. It's just so weird to have a pay-per-view the very next week again. And I've seen that before. So that's kind of the only reason I'm kind of 90% locked in with my pick. I'm more like 75% because I just don't know what. Maybe they're saving something for the second pay-per-view.
Okay.
Well, all right. I think. The one thing we didn't talk about was the Acclaimed and the House of Black.
Oh, right.
So the Acclaimed came out and they called out the House of Black, and they were gonna get beat down when Billy Gunn made his triumphant return as the badass Billy Gunn, not as Daddy Ass, because Vlad wasn't too fond of that gimmick. So he's gonna be serious now.
Me neither.
They're gonna try to win these titles again. This is their third opportunity. It looks like it should happen here, I guess. But we'll see. So that's it. We're done. We covered all the wrestling from this week. We talked about what we had to talk about, and that's about it. So we're in Los Angeles. If anyone's interested, all of us buddies here who do this show live in LA. So the show's gonna start at 9 a.m. for us. So I don't know which one of you think you're actually gonna wake up at 9 a.m. I'm thinking I'm gonna watch a replay at some point. Try to stay away from the internet because it's just too early. I don't really want to be cracking open a beer at 9 a.m.
I don't know. I might watch a replay also. On that same day, I'm going to a Metallica concert, so I might not watch it. Yeah, I might not watch it until the next day, Monday. So we'll see.
Where's Metallica playing?
SoFi.
Wow, nice.
Oh man, you're gonna get all the spoilers. There's no way you can avoid spoilers for one whole day.
Then maybe I should watch it live. Then I don't know. We'll see. I'll figure it out.
Well, all right then. With that being said, I'm gonna call it close to this show. Good show, guys. Thank you for coming on.
Wait, before we leave, I just want to say one thing. I know everybody wants to get out of here and start their weekend, but just real quick. Last week I gave AEW Dynamite a C-. I mentioned this to Kehan. I must have been drunk because that was one of the worst shows I've ever seen. That if there's ever a show that deserved a worse grade, so I said I'm going to retract that C- and give it a D. I didn't even give a grade for this show. This show was actually a lot better than the previous week's show. I think this is more like between a C to B-, C plus B-. But last week's show that I gave a C- to, I'm changing that now to a D. I just want that on the record books.
All right.
Noted.
Yeah.
That's all.
I'll make a note of it in the bookmarks of our YouTube video. Vlad retracts last week's grade. But I gave that show an F, Robert, and our highest viewed video.
You told me.
The highest viewed video of our YouTube channel last week was the one of us discussing the Texas Chainsaw Massacre death match.
God.
So I guess that
I don't know if you saw. I don't know if you saw this, Robert, but it's one of the cringiest things in it.
No, I didn't watch any wrestling last week at all.
you're lucky. You're lucky you
You're
missed
lucky. Yeah.
it.
You sure are.
Well, you're all caught up on all the angles now, and thank you for listening, whoever's out there, and we hope you enjoyed the show, or that we could have, at least kept you company or kept you busy for a little while if you're at work or whatever, listening to a podcast. I never mentioned to people that we have social media. If you're listening, add us on social media. We could use some followers. Anything. Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, whatever.
Twitter.
We got it. We're at Malapert_Smark. So join us on there. Get little clips here and there. Catch us wherever you can. We're trying to talk wrestling. All wrestling all the time, baby. All right. That's it for this episode of the Malapert Smark Show. Thank you. We'll see you next week.
Yeah.
All right, guys. All right, kids.